Hi everyone. How's quarantine going? I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes for Binaisha to join. I think she's on right now. Hi
Hey,
Binaisha, thank you so much for joining us today.
hi Tanisha, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you? How's
Very
quarantine
well.
treating you?
It's good
Good?
actually. I like it.
Yeah. So to get started right off and to give our audience a quick introduction and background on you, Binaisha Karas is an image enhancer, a style expert, as well as an inspirational speaker. She's India's youngest internationally certified image consultant, as well as a TEDx speaker. Binaisha has worked with several corporate clients, including BMW, Qatar Airways, as well as Deloitte, and helps their personal brand ambassadors to maintain their personal brand images as well as with their communication skills. So today, Binaisha will be speaking about how you can better build your brand image and doing this the Binaisha way.
Yep.
So yeah. So getting right into it, I would love if you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of began your journey towards brand consulting.
Sure. I've been doing this since 9 years now, and it's been a wonderful experience simply because I kind of club the aspects of, your image, which is inside as well as outside.
Yeah,
Typically, a lot of people, kind of struggle to portray what they internally feel and externally want to kind of reflect. And they have mixed, messages that come across. So sometimes people, say that I actually wanted to be funny, but I came across as really serious. Or I actually wanted to look sophisticated and be sophisticated, but I turned out to actually give the complete opposite imagery. So I actually work with individuals as well as groups, as you mentioned, to kind of enhance themselves. So I really don't work in the process of change, because I believe that change is something that life takes you through, but enhancement is something that you can do to your life. And that's something that I personally have envisioned for myself like a couple of years ago, and I keep on envisioning future stuff like that too. So I actually work with individuals on their grooming, as well as their mental health, as well as their communication, body language. All of these are something that makes a brand you, that kind of talks
yeah,
about your entire imagery, talks about your sensibility and your lifestyle ultimately, which reflects who you are today. So in a nutshell, this is something that I do.
of course. And I feel like image consulting is still such a novel concept in India. So I was hoping that you could tell our audience a little more about what exactly it means to be an
Sure.
image consultant and why did you choose this profession?
Yeah. So this is something that I get asked minimum once every day. Like no kidding, every day once on my Instagram or somewhere, once minimum every day since forever. And it's so fun to answer, because all the answers every single time whosoever I'm speaking with kind of shifts depending on who's in front of me. So
Mhm.
I chose to be an image consultant is simply because I thought I needed to work on myself and my own imagery. So usually most things in life that I have taken up is because of the lack of it being in my life and me finding the need to do so. That's pretty much my entire career path, if I really have to put it, you know. I went into mental health because I needed therapy myself. I became an image consultant because I needed to work on my own image. And I do a lot of things in that format, you know. And I've realized that anything that I learn, the skill never goes wasted. And such a skill has been image management for me, simply because had I not even taken or pursued being an image consultant and worked with a bunch of others, you know, and worked on their consulting, I feel like this skill teaches me to be today, you know, a better daughter, a better girl, a better
Yeah.
wife, a better, you know, just a family member, I would say, because it truly makes you, it empowers you to look at yourself from different perspectives. It gets you ready to understand what, you know, society might expect from you. At the same time, what your own expectations from yourself could be. So image is not, it's not superficial. It's not just about you know, your clothing, or it's not just about how you're speaking. It's also about you know, the way you think and the way you perceive your own self, and that kind of transcends then into your entire external imagery. So that's the main reason why I became an image consultant, and what I also do when it comes to image consulting. So yeah.
That's really interesting.
And
And
yes,
it's
it
so
is
nice.
absolutely, it is something, like you said, it is something new, you know, which still a lot of people, I mean, I've been here 9 years, but it's still fairly new for a lot of people to understand and
Yeah.
absorb, because they kind of correlate it with personality development. But personality as a whole consists of a lot of things.
Hmm.
And what I look at, yes, is an aspect of it. I would say there are still many other things that kind of go into it, but yes.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so interesting that you said that, this is a skill that you required in your personal life, and that's why you chose this as a career path. And I feel like that's so inspirational for a lot of us listening to you right now. Um, I was wondering, so in terms of building your own personal brand image, are there any explicit do's and don'ts that you might suggest for our audience here today in terms of just having a strategy or, a certain mindset when it comes to these things?
Sure. So yes, actually, so to be very honest and very transparent with everyone who's watching, I didn't, I mean, I've taken no formal training on branding or anything for myself. But yes, of course, my formal training in image has kind of inspired me to work on certain brand imagery for my, you know, my own branding, if I have to really put it out there. And that's what's actually kind of taught me. But at the very start of me starting my career, I would say that I was pretty much like you know, a dog, you know, like a duck that was kind of lost all over because, you know, I was stumbling on a bunch of things. I was doing everything on my own, and till today, till, you know, till this very moment, I continue to do a lot of things by myself, from handling my own Instagram page to my, you know, website, blogs, to a lot of things, from the graphics to everything. It's pretty much just like a one-man show that goes on, you
Yeah.
know. And I enjoy it, I thoroughly do. But I feel that there are lots of individuals out there who might not enjoy it, who might not want to learn such a skill, who might not be good at understanding how to fine tune themselves. So they might be really
Hmm.
good at whatever they are teaching or whatever they are providing with the product, rather, but they might not be good at packaging themselves. But a couple of things here that I would say is, most importantly, is that you need to speak one language. You know, you might be talented in many facets and your audience might be varied. You might have various target audiences, but know that everything comes from you and comes from one person. So today, when we look at certain brands and we wear certain brands or we endorse certain brands, is because they're speaking one language. So your language needs to be very consistent, whether it is on your stories, whether it is on your posts, whether it's you in person. So, you know, I take this as a compliment when people say that, oh, you're exactly like how I imagined you to be from your Instagram in person, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I want you to feel. I want you to feel like when you meet me in person, you don't have a disconnect. You actually have met the real me. because I feel today authenticity is key. Because I mean, it's something to be, I think authenticity should be natural, but a lot of times, and with a lot of us, to be fair, it doesn't come naturally, because we have certain insecurities about ourselves. We have certain perceptions that people
Mm-hmm.
might have about us, and that kind of, dulls us on actually being authentic. So I feel there needs to be a synergy. There needs to be this marriage between your online and your offline imagery, and that is very important for anyone to buy into any service that you actually have. Because today today when I see a movie star online and I see they're living this perfect life, or they're living this, oh so glam, and they're so pretty and all of these things, and they talk so well. And then when I actually meet them in person, and if I land up asking them for an autograph, and they're just plain rude to me, I'm gonna be like, hey, you just shattered a lot of things right out there. So I feel that the synergy needs to constantly be there, and you should never put out anything on social media that is actually fake, because when it turns to be unauthentic, it becomes an effort, and anything that makes it an effort makes it unjoyful. So it makes you unhappy, and then you just stop doing it, and then that breaks the synergy. So these are a few things that I personally follow, and I've learned, because when I started, I tried to ape. Okay, I was trying to fit in. I was 19 then, and I had clearly no brains then, and I was moving into this world where I just said, okay, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur, and that was so cool to hear about. But I had no idea what it's going to take me. So at that point of time, I tried to fit in till I only realized that, hey, I'm actually supposed to be standing out and doing my own thing. And
Yeah.
that's when you kind of find. But if I have to tell my younger self, this is exactly what I'll tell you this. I mean, this is something that I'll tell you.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I feel like so many times, as the founder of your company, you become the face of your company. And Fempower has founders across all industries in India. And, I was just wondering that when it comes to rebranding yourself, assuming that you started off in a certain direction, how can you best pivot your personal brand image to kind of target a better audience that's catered more towards your product?
Okay. So I feel again it comes about synergy, right? Today, if I'm showcasing, um, so I strongly believe that in the Hindi phrase "jo dikhta hai wo bikhta hai," so that phrase really hit me when the first time I heard it, and it stayed on, and it's been like years now that it stayed on. And I
Yeah.
feel that what you showcase is what you attract, right? So what you show in any format is what you kind of derive. So today, a lot of my fellow image consultants or other people ask me, but Banaisha, don't you get clients who are irritating, who bargain with you, who make you compromise, who ask you up for a lot of things? And honestly, Tanisha, the answer is no. I mean, I get one or two in like once in a year or something.
Mm.
I don't get difficult people, touch wood, with God's grace. I don't get people that boggle my mind and things like that, simply because I don't do that. Okay, I'm very strict on certain principles and work ethics that I follow through, and I'm pretty disciplined, I'd like to believe, with the way I function, simply because when you are a single entrepreneur, a single freelancer, whatever you want to call it, I think you are your own CEO, you are your own boss, and it's really important that you actually stay on track, because you're only answerable to yourself. Now this attitude then transcends into how you behave and how you act as a entrepreneur, as to say, right? And if you have this clarity that this is the way I'm going to position myself. So giving you an example of myself, I position myself on Instagram, or on my social media or my website, as conversational, someone you can have a conversation with. So when you actually pick up the phone and call me for an appointment, it doesn't seem like you're scared or you're worried how I'm going to react or respond. So if you read all my quotes that I write, or blogs that I write or any IGTV videos that I do, or even right now sitting with you, I make it very relatable to somebody who's out there, because that's my USP and that's me. Now, this again came from a thought wherein I saw a bunch of people when I started off and I found them very intimidating. I was really highly inspired by them, but I was like, I can't even tell you, the intimidation level was like 100 on 100. So I
Yeah.
felt like, what is the point of being so successful and so unapproachable? And today I
Mm.
might not be anywhere close to their success rate or anything. But for the ones who look up to me in some format or the other, and I do know I have a bunch of, young girls who follow me for various reasons, and they write to me, and, they have these doting mails that come to me. I feel like, why should I be stuck up? Why should I be, this high and mighty? Because I needed somebody when I was starting off. And that's the attitude that I synergize with. So every Instagram post, every blog post, every IGTV, what I wear, how I look, no makeup, all of this is a part of being relatable. Is all a
Yeah.
part of being relatable. And I feel like when you're doing your branding, you have to think of everything. Everything. Like today, if I put like this really amazing backdrop, or I sit up with like, when I sit up with like a suit, a power suit. Sure, I do wear all those things when I need to talk to that particular audience. But I'm on an audience where I need to talk to young girls, where I need to tell, hey, chill, like relax, things are going to go through, but yes, you need a system to go through it. So I'm not going to still sit in my pajamas, but I'm still going to sit in a way that kind of connects with my audience. And that is something you need to backtrack. So always think of the end picture in mind whenever you're branding anything, whether it's a small caption you're writing. How do you think it's going to transcend into your audience, and how are they going to be perceiving it? I hope this answers your question. I kind of went a little off
Yeah.
track in answering it.
No, for sure. And I think the primary reason why you don't get difficult clients is because you're so easy to speak with and, as you
Yeah,
said, just have
I
a
believe so.
conversation with. Yeah, no, definitely. And I was just wondering, are there any specific strategies that you can give entrepreneurs on how to kind of optimize their usage of different social media platforms? Because so much of what you post is correlated with your brand today. And I
Yes.
feel like our audience would love to hear what you have to say in terms of how to best express yourself and your brand on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc.
Right. So I feel like, as much as every social media strategist here would say that try to be on every platform and try to build a synergy on every platform, I feel that there are certain platforms that kind of connect with you as a person. So even though I'm on LinkedIn, I feel like the formalness of LinkedIn doesn't really isn't cohesive with me as a person.
Yeah.
So as a personality, I'm there on it. It's it does things what it needs to for my brand. But I feel like I'm so much more active on like an Instagram or Facebook, or a Pinterest for that matter, is simply because I vibe. I mean, that's my vibe. So again, coming back, your audience is going to find you in the same vibe that you are. So for example, I will only find corporate clients on LinkedIn, but I thoroughly enjoy working with individuals and groups way more than I enjoy working with corporates. So I prefer being on portals like Instagram and Facebook, wherein it kind of makes me feel, urban chic. It makes me feel young and friendly, because that's the audience I want to kind of connect to. So even if it is somebody who's 50 and 60 years old, but they feel and think like this about themselves, they will definitely connect with me. And I've had instances like that. I mean, I have a client who is 55 years old, and she hired me from Instagram because she kind of connects with that vibe that I create on Instagram. It's not like she's not on LinkedIn. So, a suggestion here that I would make is that find your social media platform that does the best for you and be the most active. So be prevalent on all these platforms for the sake of, you don't want to miss out on any opportunity coming your way. And post a bit, of course, but try to take on 1 to 2 platforms especially like two platforms which are closely integrated, like Instagram on Facebook, wherein you kind of create this vibe, you kind of create a story or mood board that then synergizes with you and your services as a person. So if you're, say for example, you're making candles, okay, you're a candle maker, you have a brand of candles, of course you need to be on Instagram, you don't need to be on LinkedIn. Then you need to think product as well, because you don't need, no one on Instagram, I mean no one on LinkedIn is going to buy candles. But if on the other hand you are someone into marketing, okay, you are a marketing strategist, you should be on LinkedIn. Because say for example you need a job at some point of time, or you want a couple of references, or you want to get hired, then you need to be in that space, because your marketing could be for various reasons. It can go from fashion marketing, it can go to any kind of product marketing, anything of that sort, wherein your audience is pretty much there, and then not on Instagram necessarily. So I feel like you need to understand what social media is connecting with what product you're selling. Like fashion sells really good on Instagram, and wellness sells very good on Instagram. Photography sells very good on Instagram. So anything that's pictorial or image related will sell better on Instagram. Facebook, on the other hand, does have an amalgamation of both. So it doesn't have a formal culture like LinkedIn, but it allows you things like posting blogs, posting longer articles, which could get you various other platforms. Versus LinkedIn then gives you a very formal vibe, and Twitter just allows you to give opinions on various things. So I think you need to see what your product really is, and then match it to your target audience and where you're going to find your target audience, and be more prevalent there rather than being prevalent everywhere.
For sure, that makes total sense. I think just with, the years passing, we as individuals have just become so visually enamored, which is
Yeah,
why Instagram does such a good job of,
it does.
bringing such large audiences. And some companies which you typically wouldn't expect to have an Instagram, like solid finance companies, they have
Yes,
huge followings now, which is so surprising to see. But it's just great how, you can, once you understand these social media platforms, you can better leverage them to your advantage. So I feel like that answer was perfect in terms of building your brand image. And, just I know that you also speak a lot about mental health. And as an entrepreneur, I feel like founders have such separate struggles in terms of building out their companies and starting up. You don't have the same job security as you would when you're with a corporation on a fixed payroll. So I was just wondering if you had any tips or advice for entrepreneurs on how to keep a healthy mindset.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I wish somebody told me this when I was starting up, but surely. So I feel that when we all start, and when we start young, no matter how young or old we start, when we just start, we have the early bug jitters. When, what are people going to say about my product? Am I going to be a success? Am I not going to be a success? And you won't believe it, just today I was thinking, had I not taken the leap of faith to say no, I'm going on my own and not take on a job, so I actually have never ever worked with anybody. So I have only done internships, and that's when I realized that I cannot work for somebody, and no one here today on this planet Earth knows how to work with people. Like, sometimes that gets really, really difficult. As much as they say, yes, I'm working with you, it just gets difficult. And I came from a different school of thought, and I feel like I'm always going to be someone who's supremely liberal and not going as per hierarchy and various of those sorts. And that's when I realized that a lot of people were not of the opinion that I do that. Now, I also had a little backlog. So having the past and still being there. I'm dyslexic. I have learning disabilities. I've had a very challenging childhood when it comes to education. And, so much so that even my parents were at one point of time really worried about what's going to happen and where am I going to get a job and how am I going to make it in life. So a lot of that coming through when I started, and people telling me who's going to pay you to tell them how to dress, and who's going to pay you to tell them how to think and feel and act, and all these things coming through. I think what you really need to do is you need to really believe in your own product. And no matter how much, like, people will, you can start on anything. You can, like I'm saying, you can start selling candles. You can, and people can make you feel like, oh my God, you're selling candles. Like, who's going to buy your candles? And they'll make this really hideous place. But hey, you're actually selling aromatic candles, which, Jo Malone is selling at like at $200, $300. So what are you talking about? Or people will be like, oh, so you're also doing designing. Like, there are hundreds of designers, and what are you going to do? And people will tell you and bring you down, and completely bring you down. But I feel like what you really need to do is you need to stick on your guard, and you need to say that what I'm going to do is going to shake and rock your world. And that's something that I did. A lot of times, I feel like at some point of time, even my parents secretly, they kind of had it in their mind, but they never told me, are you going to really make money out of this? Are you really going to do something? But I kid you not, I feel like I put in so much conviction that my client just felt that they didn't want it, they needed it. And that's the magic that you create, and that's the magic that every entrepreneur can create. Today, you'll look at any successful brand and you will always see that the entrepreneur has a vision for the brand, and that vision will never transcend into even their next generation. Their sons and daughters will never have that passion, ignition, feeling, spark, none of it. Today, I might start this off and I might get, a child who might say, I'm interested in it, but I'm not necessarily involved and vested as much as you are, mom, or anything of that sort, and I'm going to be okay with it. So whenever you start any entrepreneurial journey, to anyone who's listening to this, always believe that you believe in your product. If you are really shaky about the product, then go back home, study your product, make it really good. Because if you don't have a good product or a good service, that you have no arms or ammunition to fight the world with. Then you can't keep on telling the world, I'm going to make it big. How are you going to make it big? For example, today I have a lot of challenge when people say that you're going to teach me how to brand myself better, to dress better, to think better. I have mental health articles free available on Google. You Google how to dress better for a XYZ body shape, you get that on Google. You get that on Pinterest. I mean, my entire competition is Google, right? But that doesn't stop me from getting out of business. That has made me survive 9 years consistent in the business. And a simple reason is because I said, no, there is more that I can bring to the table. And there will always be that percentage of individuals who will hire humans over Google. And you just need to keep that faith going. Now, that's just subjective, but you need to keep that faith in your product going. And of course, another thing here, which is supremely important, is never feel like you have arrived. Even till today, I'm not joking. I knew at some point of time this would come up. I still read branding books. I still read and read and read and read so much more, because you can never plateau in life. The minute you say, I know everything, I've learned it all, I've understood it all, you plateau and then you deplete. And that's how most people kind of then, shelf off their business, or they just become, they just were remembered as freelancers, and then they can never materialize and have a churning of, their investments or anything. You always need to keep on going forward and learning. So yeah, that's just about it.
Yeah, I completely resonate with what you just said. I think it's so important for you to just believe in yourself and believe in your product. And I think that is what differentiates a successful entrepreneur from someone who just loses faith. So thank you for that advice. And Binaisha, her services can be found on Fempower's platform under our services tab. So if you want to reach out, please go on our website. And thank you so much for joining us, Binaisha, today. This has been
Thank
such
you
a
for
great
having me.
conversation. And I feel like this was something a lot of our audience and myself as well needed to hear, especially during this time of COVID-19. Um, so I really appreciate you taking this time out to join Fempower.
Definitely. It's been my pleasure and an absolute delight chatting with you online as well as offline. So thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Great. So with that, I'll go offline now. And
Sure.
thank you so much for our wonderful audience for the constant support and
Yes,
encouragement.
thank you all. Y'all have been here and I've been reading a couple of your comments and it's been really, really nice. In case if you want me to take any questions, I'm happy to do that if you want.
Of course, yeah. Does anyone from the audience have any questions? You can just type it into the little comment box below, and
Yeah.
Binaisha would love to answer them. And just for just I had a question that I wanted to
Sure.
ask you. Sorry, another one. But I was just wondering, if there is something that you try to incorporate into your daily routine to just kind of have a healthy mindset and, um, not feel down and low, when times are bad. Is that something that you try to do every day? I know for a lot of people it might be exercise or yoga. So I was wondering if you have one of those activities.
Yeah, I actually do. So, I wake up in the morning and I kind of daydream. So this is funny, but when I'm brushing my teeth, I will and I've been doing this since I was a little girl, and I just daydream about how perfect my day is going to be, or how I'm going to look, who I'm going to talk to, how I'm going to act. So I kind of play like this little dress up as young girls. I still do that. I mean, it's just a natural habit. So I do this while brushing my teeth or having a bath. um, if I'm prepping up for a training or a conversation with somebody, I usually do this tete-a-tete with my bathroom wall. So I have this conversation with my wall, and I kind of have these fun conversations which bring me great insights, to be very honest. And I feel like, it keeps the young girl in me alive, because I then become very accepting of my flaws, and that is something that I feel that really keeps me grounded as a person. The other thing that I do is I try to read every single night, at least for half an hour. That's something that keeps me updated. The other thing that I do is when I wake up, before I put my feet off my bed, I actually do say thank you, God, and religiously. It's just like it's a morning thing. So, I mean, before even I tell my husband good morning, I think that's something that I do. And yeah, I just, and I think that life has troubles for everyone. But if you try to find the goodness in everything that's not good, I think you'll always be smiling. And that'll just keep your spirits alive. And there's a lot of bad. But my father always told me as a young girl that, for every bad, there is good. You just have to find it, because there is good, and that's how you know what is bad. And when there is bad, that's how you know what is good. So if there is so much bad in the world, like we're reading every single day something bad that's coming up, but try to find good. Like, I follow good news on Instagram. It's actually an account. Go follow it. I just follow good news movement rather than following stuff that makes you sad. I'm not saying don't acknowledge the sadness around or the reality around. Acknowledge it, but don't embrace it if it's not yours, because that causes stress and that causes external depression, which isn't even your story to begin with. I understand that, somebody is losing lives, some people are losing parents, some people are losing children. I understand that. Empathize with it. Don't trouble your mind that, oh, is my child going to die tomorrow? Am I going to die tomorrow? Am I going to lose a job? No, don't stress about other people's stress unless it's actually your own. That's just something that I follow, to
For
be safe.
sure. And I feel like we personally have so many stresses to deal with. Why take on someone else's?
Absolutely,
Um,
yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
our audience loved your positive energy and your positive vibes.
I know, right? No
And
one's been having any questions. Everyone's just being nice to me. Thank you, everyone. It's been, I mean, I've been reading everyone's comments here, so that's great. Zara's just asked me a question. What branding books would you recommend? So, Zara, currently I'm reading this book, which is Branding Yourself. It's by Eric and Kyle. I'm not sure if you do get this here because most of my books I don't get it on the Indian Amazon. But try this one out. It's pretty good, but it's super thick and it's something that you really need to like study. It's almost like a manual. A couple of other branding books, if I really have to see. Um, it depends really how you brand yourself, because I read a bunch of books which talk about various aspects. So I read about body language separately, communication separately, and a whole bunch of those, like mental health books separately. So on my Instagram, I've actually put out a post long ago on my on the books that I read and that I truly cherish and that have made me today the person I am. So you can probably look back at that, or you can direct message me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to share a picture with you of my books.
of
Yeah,
course,
that's about it.
and you can access Benaisha's website. It's just benaishakaras.com and fempower.in
Yep.
to find out more about Benaisha and our other female entrepreneurs. But thank you so much for everyone out there who took the time out of their busy days to join us. I think this was a wonderful and insightful conversation. So thank you once again, Benaisha.
Thank you.